It's time now for the award-winning #1 local talk show in Northeast Pennsylvania, The Sam Lesante Show. Now here's your host, Sam Lesante.
Well, welcome everyone to the Sam Lesante Show. And once again, thanks for making the Sam Lesante Show the #1 talk show in Northeastern Pennsylvania. I really appreciate it. Now, you know, May 20th, very important day. I ask all of you, please vote. Every time we vote, it's so important, and know who we're voting for. And I'm happy to say that today we have a judicial candidate, Tom Mosca, who is running for judge in Luzerne County. And we'd like to find out about who these people are so you're more educated when you're going in to vote. So Tom, it's nice meeting you and nice seeing you.
Nice to be here with you this morning.
So we have an election coming up, and this year they created a position, right?
That's correct.
Why did they create a position for this?
Well, in December of 2023, the Pennsylvania State Legislature passed an act which resulted in Luzerne County getting an 11th judicial seat. Presently, we have 10 judges, and as of January, after this election, we will have 11. We were one of a handful of counties to get an additional seat because of the caseload, because of the immediate need.
I was going to ask you, being a lawyer for 35 years, you know, and going into court, there was a need for that additional judge, correct?
That's correct.
Looking at Tom Mosca, and I said, Tom Mosca is running for judge. Well, some people say, yeah, Tom, I know Tom, but who is Tom? I don't know of the person, okay? What would you like people to know about particularly your background, all right? Because again, it's so important that when you're, when going in front of a judge, you want to make sure that that judge is what they call fair, okay, and has the knowledge of what's happening, okay. And of course, you have attorneys or defense and prosecutors, etc. So, what can you tell me about Tom Mosca?
Well, I would say you're effectively asking me what are my qualifications to be judge, and I would say I look at my qualifications as having two components. One is my legal experience, and the other is my life experience. And by way of legal experience, I'm admitted to practice in all state courts within the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. I'm also admitted to practice before the United States Court of Appeals for the Third Circuit and the United States District Courts for the Middle and Eastern Districts of Pennsylvania. I've been given an AV preeminent rating by the Martindale-Hubbell Rating Service for Lawyers, which is its highest possible rating for both legal abilities and ethical standards. I'm a member of the American Bar Association, the Pennsylvania Bar Association, and the Luzerne County Bar Association. I've been practicing law locally for the past 35 years, and in a variety of areas, a wide variety, including large commercial transactions and complicated litigation matters. In addition to commercial and general litigation, I've also handled countless estate planning and estate administration matters for clients. I also have significant experience in municipal areas, in contracts, corporate law, and real estate. I can go on, and I will continue to go on because I do have further legal qualifications.
Yeah, I'd like to know about them.
So I think that it's important to have a broad legal background when seeking to become a judge. And one of the things that I was proud to be a part of when I was early in my career was to be part of the legal team that collected millions of dollars in withdrawal liability payments in federal court on behalf of the Anthracite Health and Welfare Fund, which is a pension fund for the United Mine Workers of America. So that's some of the experience on the legal side. And as I said, I also look at being equally as important my life experience. And my life experience is husband to my wife Andrea of 36 years, father to our two adult daughters, Hillary and Tori. I'm nono to our 3-year-old grandson Sebastian and our 11-month-old granddaughter Vivian. I'm also a proud first-generation Italian-American son to Nettie and Victor, who taught me throughout their lifetimes the value of hard work and the importance of fair play. I'm an active member of my church, where I'm a communion minister and I'm a member of our Social Concerns Committee. In the past, I've served on parish council, I've served on our Adult Faith Formation Committee and various other ministries and committees. I'm also an active volunteer in the community, and I'm an advocate for victims' rights. I'm the board chair of the Victims Resource Center, and for the past 9 years, I have been either the chair or the co-chair of the NEPA Task Force Against Human Trafficking, which I'm happy to talk more about.
Yeah, talk about that. But before we get to the human, I want to go back to your life experience. It always fascinates me when I'm talking to someone. When I worked with Jack Palance for 30-some years, and we traveled and you met people and you say, well, why did you become an actor? Why did you become this? Why did you become a producer? Why did you become a director? So when Tom Mosca was going to high school, okay, or grade school, when did you decide that you figured you wanted to go into law, and why?
I think it was somewhat later in life that I decided that I wanted to go to law school. I actually worked my way through college, so I didn't necessarily go the traditional route.
But you decided to become a lawyer when you were going to college?
Correct.
Okay, all right. What made you decide to go into law?
I wanted to do some additional studies because I had not done the traditional 4 years in college. As I said, I worked my way through college, alternating working full-time and part-time, and going to school either full-time or part-time. So it took me a little bit longer to get through. And I wanted the educational challenge, and I also wanted the professional challenge. And what was interesting, on the day that I graduated from law school, and my father had passed away years prior, but my mother was there for my graduation, and she told me that my father had always wanted to be a lawyer.
Is that right?
Which was a wonderful thing to hear, but my father only ever had a 5th grade education in Italy.
It probably had more common sense than tons of us ever had.
He absolutely did.
Yeah, right, yeah. That's interesting because, you find out, sometimes you have a passion for law, okay? And, you hear a lot of some people, I want to become but, when it's in you and you know that, so what was, like, when you passed your law degree, and did you go into a law firm or did you go by yourself?
I worked for about 9 years for a small firm by the name of Shea and Caputo, which after that I began practicing on my own. My one and only boss during my legal career went on the federal bench, and the firm pretty much disbanded. And shortly after that, I went on my own and been practicing on my own pretty much ever since.
Did you have any particular lawyer that was, you admired and you wanted to emulate?
Well, and again, that was my former boss, who's now sadly no longer with us, but federal judge A. Richard Caputo was the person that I worked for. And he wasn't a guy that necessarily taught you per se, but you learned so much just by watching what he did. And I learned an awful lot by working with him and for him.
Did you have any specific areas that you were, that you really enjoyed doing and helping people? Because, you get people that come in distressed, either it's an accident or whatever, I'm sure you covered all the bases there, okay. What were some of the cases that, that you were able to really get involved with and enjoy?
Well, there are a variety of cases that are satisfying, and it is satisfying. You mentioned personal injury, and I've done some personal injury over the years. I've had some very successful cases, and it is a nice ending to a case to be able to hand someone a check and know that they're going to be taken care of and that their needs are going to be taken care of. It's always nice to help someone buy a home. That's especially if it's someone buying their first home. That's an exciting process. Helping people with their estate plans. It's not the most pleasant thing in the world.
No.
But everyone needs to have an estate plan. And, I tell people, I know it's awkward. I know that this isn't what you want to be talking about.
Yes, yeah.
But we need to have this conversation. So I'm happy to serve people and clients in whatever their needs are. There are a lot of times when people need some assistance and people can't afford assistance. So money is not the only object. Of course, we all need money to eat and to live.
Exactly.
But that's not the only thing in life.
And I think that it always tells it, because becoming a judge today, particularly in today's world, I think, first of all, I applaud anyone who is running for office. I mean, that's another question I wanted to ask you. You know, you're a successful lawyer, you're doing well. Why the hell do you want to become a judge?
Because I feel that I can be a good judge. I feel that my qualifications, both my legal experience and my life experience, will enable me to be an effective judge. And I also look at a judge as someone who serves the community. And I look at the opportunity to become a judge as the opportunity to continue to be of service to the community.
You know, when you're mentioning all the things you've done, I'm impressed with that, because sometimes when people run, all of a sudden, you know, a year before they run, they get involved with all these activities, and I'm on this, I'm on that. But what were you doing that 3 years or 4 years or 5 or 6 years, you know, before that? Nothing wrong with, you know, doing it now, but I always look at the substance of the person. You mentioned about the NEP Task Force Against Human Trafficking. I didn't even know that was around.
It's we encompass 11 counties. Our members, and I've been either the chair or the co-chair for the past 9 years since it was formed in 2016. Our members include Pennsylvania State Police, the FBI, 2 district attorneys, local law enforcement members, the Department of Justice, a variety of victim services agencies, as well as faith-based organizations.
And there's actually human trafficking going on?
Oh, absolutely. If you picture where we're located between Philadelphia and New York, that's one issue. There's a lot of trafficking that flows from one direction to the other. But also, Ohio is a hotbed. New Jersey is a hotbed. Much of what happens there flows through Pennsylvania.
What do they do? Human trafficking?
Well, there are multiple kinds of human trafficking. The majority of human trafficking is for commercial sex. So people, the majority of which are women, are transported to various areas for the purpose of commercial sex.
By force or just?
The buzzwords for human trafficking when someone gets charged are force, fraud, or coercion. So if someone is put into a situation by either force, fraud, or coercion, that is considered human trafficking both under federal and state law. Now, if a minor is involved, force, fraud, and coercion is not a requirement, and human trafficking can be found without those elements being present. And there are a lot of sad statistics about human trafficking, and shocking statistics, one of which is that most adult victims of human trafficking were first trafficked as minors. Even more shocking is the fact that the average age of entry for a minor is between 12 and 14. Now, most of those are female, but not all. So picture all the young girls and boys you know between the ages of 12 and 14, and imagine what kind of a life that they would live if they were pulled into that lifestyle.
Oh my God. How do you police them then?
It's a process that requires all of the different parties to put their heads together, and which is one of the reasons why we formed the task force. And we don't actively go out into the community and do things, but our members do. Our law enforcement members, our victim services agency members. So what we do is we facilitate those parties getting together and having an exchange of ideas so that they can learn from one another. Because we all agree that this is a problem, but for too long, everyone was acting independently. And now we're trying to get the parties together to put their heads together, and that is having an effect. In November of this year, we will have I believe it's our 7th annual regional training for professionals. Last November, we had over 200 attendees from law enforcement, education, healthcare, and victim services agencies, all of whom came to learn from one another. And we will continue to do that again this year.
2 questions. Number 1, has there been a decrease? And number 2, how can the public help? The public,
well, I'll answer the second part first. The public can help by becoming aware of the fact that it's a problem.
How do you become aware of that? What are some of the telltale signs?
Well, there are a lot of them. Well, I would answer that. I'll give you a longer answer and a shorter answer. It's best to go and participate in a human trafficking presentation and see what some of the signs are.
Yes.
There are things like tattoos. People have tattoos. Well, in our society today, a lot of people have
Tons of
tattoos.
them, yeah.
That's not always indicative of human trafficking.
Yeah.
But if it says across someone's neck, cash only, or property of, or someone has a tattoo of a barcode rather, there are certain things that are indicative of human trafficking. There are also, and human trafficking is different than human smuggling. Human smuggling typically involves someone being brought across a border either willingly or unwillingly, typically willingly. Human trafficking does not involve or doesn't require a border, and persons can be trafficked within their own homes.
Wow. And you've been involved with this, working with them, right?
For 9 years.
Folks, I'm talking to Tom Mosca, who is running for a judge in Luzerne County. They created another position, and once again, getting to know who's running for office, it's important. And so you have a better idea who's going to be judging you. Now, I hope you never have to go to court. However, life is challenging sometimes, and when you do go to court, how much faith would you have in that judge, and would you want to make sure that judge is fully aware and understands the needs of what is right and wrong? We'll be back right after this. Well, welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show, folks. I'm happy to say we're over 6,000 shows. I'm telling you, I know I'm getting younger, not older. SSPTV.com, you can watch all of our shows, and thank you for making this show the #1 talk show in Northeastern Pennsylvania. I really appreciate it. Now, May 20th is an important date. Put it on your calendar, and you put down vote. And one of the things that you'll be looking at is a judgeship in Luzerne County. They created a new position. They added another judicial position, and with me today is one of these people who are running for that for that position. It's Tom Mosca. Tom's been around for 35 years, and he's on the show today talking about, here again, we see how very important it is to have judges that are honest, that understand, and that have the experience, because I don't want to be in front of a judge, but if I have to, I want to make sure, who is this Tom Mosca? Judge Mosca? What kind of guy is he? Because the attorneys will say, well, you're in front of Tom, he's this, or you've had that as a lawyer. If you're going to, how many times did a client say to you, hey, what about that Judge Lesante? What kind of judge is he? And you come to, you have to assure that person that they're going in front of a good judge. So would I be comfortable going in front of Judge Mosca?
I would hope so. I will make sure that everyone that comes before me gets a fair and full hearing. I will not prejudge any matters, and people will have an opportunity to fully be heard.
And that's important, okay? Knowing that I'm going in front of, I could have a great lawyer, and that lawyer should know what to do when I'm in court, but I want to make sure that that person is, understanding, and that person understands what the case is all about. Hence, when you mentioned that litany of your background, of all the areas you covered, very impressive. I think that tells me of the substance of the person. Is that correct in saying that?
Well, and by way of legal experience and background, I think it certainly helps when becoming a judge to have a broad legal background, because judges deal with a variety, no matter what division they're in, they ultimately deal with a variety of areas of the law. And I think it's helpful to have a background, and certainly would be an asset to have a background that is varied when becoming a judge.
Well, Tom, you've been practicing for 35 years. Okay, so what kind of judge do you want to go in front of? What kind of judges have you seen? You've seen fair judges, you've seen mediocre judges, you've seen all kinds of judges. I mean, what do you look for as an attorney?
I look for a judge that is going to give everyone a fair hearing and is not going to prejudge matters, as I said. And I've been in front of plenty of good, well-qualified judges, including here in Luzerne County and elsewhere. So I would aspire to be, I'm not going to name any particular judges, but I would aspire to be like some judges that we have had in Luzerne County.
Looking at experience again, because people just tuning in, looking at the show, I'm talking to Tom Mosca, my friends, he's running for judge in Luzerne County. What what separates you from, others, and why I should vote for you for judge in Luzerne County?
Well, I think I'll answer that two ways. I would say that life experience is an important qualification, in my opinion, to becoming a judge. And because judicial decisions are not made in a vacuum. Of course, judges have to follow the Constitution and have to follow binding legal precedent, but many judicial decisions involve the exercise of discretion. And it's in the exercise of that discretion that a person's life experience comes into play and is so important. I think that the job of a judge is essentially to serve the system of justice and the community. And I look at the opportunity to become a judge as an opportunity to continue to be of service to the community. I have a proven track record as a community servant. I've been an advocate and protector of victims' rights. I've been a protector of those within our society who are at risk and in jeopardy of falling between the cracks.
We talk about people who are running for office, and sometimes, you have people that endorse you, okay? And that's always important because, I may not know you, but the person who endorses you, I know that person. And that person who endorses say, well, look, if Sam Lesante endorses that person, I think, I may want to give that person a shot. Who have been some of your endorsements?
Well, I'm proud to say that I have the endorsement of Congressman Dan Muser and also former Congressman Lou Barletta, as well as State Senator Lisa Baker. I'm a member of the NRA, but unfortunately in county judicial races, the NRA does not endorse candidates. I was pleased, however, to receive an endorsement from Gun Owners of America.
So those are important endorsements because they know you, okay? In terms of when you're campaigning and looking for people to vote for you, and I'll give you that opportunity to tell people why they should vote for Tom Mosca as Luzerne County Judge. What are some of the questions or some of the comments that they make to you, Tom?
When meeting the people?
Yeah, when you're meeting, I'm Tom Mosca, I'm running for judge in Luzerne County, and so, hey, Tom, let me ask you this. Or, sometimes you have people who may make a comment or question. What are some of the concerns that some people have said to you?
I think people are concerned, and by the way, that is running for an office is not an easy thing, but meeting with people is probably the best thing.
No question.
So having the opportunity to have one-on-one contact with people makes up for a lot of the other stuff.
What do they say to you?
They want to make it known that they want someone to be fair. They want someone that's going to listen when people talk. They want someone that's going to treat them with respect.
Is that what you're hearing?
I've certainly heard that.
Yeah. And I know the answer to this, but how important do you think your 35 years of experience and all the background that you have is important for that judgeship?
I think it's critical. I mean, I think the experience I have and the wide variety of practice areas in which I have it is just a valuable asset that will help me when reviewing many matters that come before me.
Yeah. And that's why I think it's so important. I know sometimes people get turned off with elections because of various political nonsense, but it's so important that you vote and really know the person. I know my wife and I for years, we've been trying to always look at the person, even though I do interviews, and even though this is a paid interview, but the point is you're able to talk to thousands of people that you haven't had the opportunity to. Speaking of that, this is your camera here. Tell the voters why they should vote for Tom Mosca as Luzerne County Judge.
Well, I would say I have the appropriate temperament. I'm open-minded. I won't prejudge matters, and I will treat everyone with respect. My 35 years of practicing law gives me a solid background which enables me to be an effective judge. I also think that life experience matters to anyone who wants to seek to be a judge. I'm a husband, father, and grandfather. I'm a dedicated community servant. I'm an active member of my church. I've been a staunch advocate for victims' rights. Those are all important things when it comes to making judicial decisions. I believe that my legal background and the varied areas of my legal background will help me to be an effective judge.
Well, let me tell you, I wish everyone the very best, but it's good knowing who you are and meeting you. So I wish you the best, Tom. Okay?
Thank you very much.
Tom Mosca, my friends, is running for Luzerne County Judge. Remember, know who they are. Please vote. We'll see you next time.